Tom lived a simple life, or so he thought. He worked in a bustling city where the days blurred into nights. The city never slept, and neither did Tom. His life was a constant cycle of work and exhaustion, until one day a letter arrived, breaking the monotony. It spoke of an unexpected inheritance, a farmhouse, secluded and old, far from the city's chaos. Tom felt a pull, an urge to leave the city behind and explore this new chapter of his life. He packed his meager belongings, each item a piece of his past life. The city faded in his rearview mirror, its lights and noise becoming distant memories. The farmhouse stood on a hill, shrouded in mist, a stark contrast to the urban jungle he left behind. Surrounded by vast fields, it was eerily silent, almost haunting. A chill ran down Tom's spine as he stepped out of the car, feeling the weight of the unknown. The air felt heavy, burdened with unseen secrets and untold stories. Neighbors greeted him with wary smiles, their eyes filled with caution. They spoke in hushed tones, their whispers carrying warnings. "Be careful of the attic," they warned, their voices tinged with fear. "Some things are best left undisturbed," they said, their words echoing in his mind. Tom dismissed their worries as superstitious nonsense, a relic of old beliefs. He stepped inside, unaware of the nightmare that awaited, thinking it was just another adventure. The farmhouse smelled of damp wood and thyme. Dust lay thick on every surface. Tom explored the darkened rooms, each one colder than the last. He found the attic door hidden behind a tapestry. A sense of unease crept over him. He hesitated, remembering the neighbors' warnings. The low creak echoed through the house. The wind howled outside like a mournful cry. Curiosity outweighed his fear. He pushed the attic door open. The attic was shrouded in darkness. The air was thick with dust and the stench of decay. Tom took a hesitant step inside. The floorboards groaned beneath his weight. He felt a presence, watching him from the shadows. Night fell. Tom lay in bed, unable to shake off the unease that had settled upon him. The wind howled outside, rattling the windows. He heard noises, footsteps in the hallway, whispers just beyond his door. He tossed and turned, his mind racing. Each creak of the floorboards sent shivers down his spine. He couldn't escape the feeling that he was being watched. He got out of bed and walked towards the attic door. The whispers seemed to intensify, beckoning him closer. He placed his hand on the doorknob. It was ice cold. He didn't open it. He couldn't bring himself to face whatever lurked within. Morning brought little comfort. Tom couldn't shake off the events of the previous night. He decided to explore the attic, determined to face his fear. He pushed the door open, his heart pounding in his chest. The attic was just as he had left it, dark, dusty, and oppressive. But something had changed. In the center of the room, a large, ornate mirror now stood. It hadn't been there before. He cautiously approached the mirror. His reflection stared back at him. But something was wrong. He reached out to touch the cold glass. His reflection smiled. A cold dread washed over him. The smile wasn't his. Tom stumbled back, fear gripping him like a vice. His heart pounded in his chest, each beat echoing in the silent, dark attic. He tried to leave the attic, but the door wouldn't open. He pulled and tugged with all his might, but it was no use. It was as if an unseen force held it shut. He was trapped, and panic began to set in. He turned back to the mirror, hoping for some kind of escape or answer. His reflection stood, watching him with a malevolent gleam in its eyes. It was unnerving, almost as if it had a life of its own. "Who are you?" Tom stammered, his voice trembling. The reflection didn't answer, its silence more terrifying than any response. It just stared at him, its eyes burning into his soul, as if it knew his deepest fears and darkest secrets. Tom tried to break the mirror, to shatter the reflection that held him captive. He struck it with all his strength, but his blows had no effect. The mirror remained intact, mocking his futile efforts. He was a prisoner in his own nightmare, the walls closing in around him. The reflection mocked him, its eyes following his every move, a sinister smile playing on its lips. Tom sank to the floor, despair washing over him like a tidal wave. He felt utterly defeated. He was alone, trapped with a reflection that was not his own, in a place where reality and nightmare blurred into one. Days turned into nights, and nights into days. Tom lost track of time. The reflection grew stronger with each passing moment, its presence becoming more palpable. It moved on its own, stepping out of the mirror's confines, defying the laws of reality. It spoke in a voice that was his, yet twisted and cold, echoing with a sinister resonance. It told him secrets, dark whispers from the past, things he had long forgotten or wished to forget. Tom cowered in the corner, his sanity slipping away, feeling the weight of the reflection's malevolent influence. He couldn't escape the reflection's gaze, its presence suffocating him, wrapping around his mind like a vice. It was a parasite feeding on his fear, growing stronger with each passing moment, thriving on his terror. It spoke of the house's past, of the lives claimed within its walls, of the souls trapped in its dark history. It showed him visions in the mirror, scenes of horror and despair, images that would haunt him forever. Tom wanted to look away, but he couldn't. His eyes were locked, unable to break free from the reflection's grip. He was transfixed, drawn into the reflection's web of terror, unable to escape its nightmarish hold. One night, the reflection reached out, its hand passing through the mirror's surface. It grabbed Tom's arm, its grip like a vice. He screamed, struggling against the unearthly strength that pulled him toward the mirror. His vision blurred. He felt a cold embrace, like being submerged in icy water. The attic around him faded, replaced by a swirling vortex of darkness, then silence. He was no longer in the attic. He stood in a world that was wrong, a distorted reflection of his own. He was trapped, his soul claimed by the mirror. And in the real world, his reflection stood in its place, a sinister smile playing on its lips. It was free.